Congressman, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Very much appreciate it. Really important subject matter, obviously, to address. I want to start with this new reporting from the Washington Post, Congressman, that House Democrats are considering a vote on Trump's plan to close the border to ramp up pressure on Republicans. What are you planning to do to stop this, and can you stop it at this point?
Well, we have to acknowledge that this would be catastrophic for border communities all across our country and really for our entire country. You know, I represent an area that has San Diego, and San Diego has $250 billion a year in economic activity that's directly related to cross-border trade. We're talking about $1.6 billion a day, and as your graphic showed there, we're talking about increases in consumer prices really overnight. And this is something that should not be partisan. Democrats and Republicans can both acknowledge the importance of our cross-border relationships, and this is something that would be really catastrophic. We have to do everything we can, whether it's a vote or other actions, to make sure, number one, that the public's aware that we can't just shut down the border. And, you know, I've been to the border. Many of us on the Democratic side have been to the border, and what I saw was to the extent there's a crisis, it's one that's being exacerbated by this administration's policies. We've got to treat people with respect and dignity and decency again, not just shut the border down, not throw a temper tantrum. It didn't work when we shut down the government. It didn't work when he declared a national emergency, and it won't work if he shuts down the border either. That's not the way you govern. You govern by getting things done, by working across the aisle and trying to come up with solutions for the American people, and again, following up with a long tradition of treating people from different countries with humanity, decency, and respect.
Congressman, you say that this issue should not be a partisan one. We have heard that this entire hour, to say the least. All the issues that we've been covering should not necessarily be partisan ones, but they certainly are. Can you be so sure that your Republican colleagues are going to not back up the president on this?
Well, I can only hope they'll take a look at the economic impact that such a measure would have on their districts, on their local economies.
You can only hope, but have you heard from your Republican colleagues on this at all? That they support or if they don't support the president on closing the borders?
I'm going to keep trying, Yasmin. I'm going to try to have a reasonable, thoughtful discussion with anyone who will listen, whether they be Republican or Democratic, about the economic impact that this measure would have. Again, it would be catastrophic. And we absolutely cannot allow it to happen. We can't throw a temper tantrum. We've got to try to fix the underlying issues. And again, that's the problem with taking all the resources away that we're sending to Central America. Is that's not going to solve the problem either. That's only going to make things worse. Let's get back to treating people with respect and decency. You know, you wouldn't know it from looking at me or from my last name, but my grandparents on my mom's side were Mexican immigrants, and they came to this country on the premise that we treated people from all around the world with respect and decency. That's got to be the driving force for our policy, not stoking fear and division by putting up barriers where they shouldn't exist.
Congressman, quickly, the president is going to be visiting the U.S.-Mexico border on Friday, I believe. What is he likely going to hear from people at the border?
Well, it depends who he actually speaks with. If he speaks, as I did, with people at Customs and Border Protection who are actually trying to solve the problem, then he's going to hear that we need more personnel, we need more scanning technology, and that's what we, as House Democrats, have agreed to do. In fact, that's what we did as part of the appropriations process. We want smart border solutions that actually work. We don't want to build a wall. We actually want to get to the problem, whether it's the drugs that are coming in. We want to make sure that we've got that scanning technology, whether it's trying to treat asylum seekers with respect and decency and dignity. You know, a wall is not going to solve people who are just begging for a better opportunity at a decent life, trying to flee from political persecution or violence. We're not going to stop that. When people are saying, please help me, a wall isn't going to stop that. Only humane policies will deal with that situation.
All right, Congressman Mike Levin, thank you so much, Congressman. Good talking to you.
Thank you,
we
Yasmin.
have been talking